On Tech News Today, after existing for 11 years, Facebook finally adds the ability to search posts. Plus, Magic Leap raises $1 billion and magically leaps to super unicorn status. And Google is using big data to help you pick your Halloween costume. It's all coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Friday, October 23rd, 2015. This episode is brought to you by Prosper. Prosper is a peer-to-peer lending marketplace that connects people who are looking to borrow money with those who have money to lend. Visit prosper.com/TNT to apply for a loan now. And by Gazelle, the online marketplace for buying and selling used gadgets. Shop from a variety of certified pre-owned electronics or trade one in for cash. Give a new life to a used device. Visit Gazelle.com today. Tech News Today is the show where we talk about the tech news with the journalists who report it. My name is Mike Elgin. Our co-anchor today is Mashable senior tech correspondent Christina Warren. Christina, how the heck are you?
Well, I'm good. So I wasn't here last week because of a regrettable whiplash,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But I'm back. I'm good. And I've had kind of an insane week, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. It started out in probably one of the more insane ways I could imagine a week to start out.
Which is an interview, I think.
Yes.
You did an amazing interview. You're probably the only person on the planet who ever interviewed two people together. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I interviewed Anna Wintour, the editor-in-chief of Vogue magazine, Johnny Ive, the chief design officer at Apple, and Andrew Bolton, who is the curator of the Met Costume Institute. And I interviewed all three of them in Cupertino on Monday, and it was kind of awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Being there with both Anna and Johnny in the same room was a little bit intimidating. Okay, a lot intimidating. They were all three of them were actually completely lovely and were wonderful. But it was, we were talking about Apple's role with the Met Gala and the exhibition this year, and kind of the intersection between fashion and technology. You will all at home be, I guess, maybe not pleased, but probably not surprised to know that my opening line with Johnny is, before we even sat down, I said, okay, look, you have to do something for me. You have to say aluminum. Because I had to hear him say aluminium. I just had to.
That's awesome. And he did.
He did. He was very gracious about it. He was very nice. Like I said, all three people were lovely. And they had some really interesting ideas, I think, about kind of the differences between historically the fashion world was kind of looked at handmade things as being superior to machine-made things, and the role that technology is playing in kind of disrupting that, not just with, the sewing machine and kind of like production things to make things more accessible. But now we get into the technical world with sensors and also things like 3D printing and how that kind of changes our perspective of what fashion is. And also, what Apple's role in designing these objects, these tools really that, and in Johnny Ive's words, Apple's goal is to kind of transcend trend in terms of when they think about designing things. They're not designing to have a specific look or to be kind of the moment, but to be kind of timeless. And kind of the role, I think increasingly, Apple is being seen as a fashion company. And that's very, I think, clear when you see the fact that they're sponsoring the Met exhibition this year, which the whole focus for 2016 will be on this intersection between the hand and the machine and the intersection of fashion and technology.
Yeah, so fascinating. And of course, it's such a great direction for Apple from a business perspective because, of course,
yes,
how else are you going to charge $18,000 for a watch unless it's fashion?
Unless it's fashion. I mean, that's the big thing. And that's been kind of my argument about the Apple Watch from the very beginning, was that I think that a lot of people who buy it do primarily take the fashion into account. And I think that's true for all wearable devices, not just the Apple Watch, but for anything else. And we've seen that increasingly, even with some of the Android Wear devices. I mean, I think Huawei has probably one of the best looking Android Wear devices right now. and the fact that they're actually, I think that they've hired for their campaign two very well-known models to be kind of the face of that campaign for their advertising, which makes a lot of sense, because if you're going to be selling something like this, functionality can only go so far. It really needs to look good too, and it needs to be something you're willing to put on your wrist, because that was one of the things Johnny Ive talked about, is that now they are designing things that don't just go in your pocket but do go on your wrist, and so you have to think about things differently. And obviously the aesthetic and the fashion aspect comes into play when this is something that is going to be visible to everyone, and that's one of the reasons that Johnny said that Apple was intent on kind of making that it was a big part of their kind of design mission to make the bands interchangeable, because you might want to have a kind of a core design, but fundamentally everyone doesn't want to wear the same thing. So making those things interchangeable and being able to give a completely different look to the watch was really important. And I think that kind of underscores, like you're saying, it's kind of this business decision they're going in, where if you are wanting to charge $18,000 for something, it better have a fashion component, because the technology is not going to be enough to drive it there, but the fashion might be.
And I really do think that Johnny Ive's design sensibility, which is really very understated, is perfect for this, because, of course, the band, I think, is the fashion mostly. The
Yes.
watch is we've all seen them a million times. They kind of they're exactly what you expect. There are only two sizes,
Exactly.
and there's only one shape. And then the band, the really fashionable people want multiple bands, Renee Ritchie. And so that's really how you make it a fashion thing. So for everybody who wants to read this article, and I strongly recommend it, just go to Mashable.com and search for it. You can go to film_girl on Twitter and find the link there, or you can just go to Google and search for Anna Wintour and Christina Warren. You'll find this article.
Yeah.
Make sure you read it.
You will.
Awesome stuff. It's I think that was posted about 3 days ago.
About 3 days ago. Yeah, it was posted on Tuesday.
All right. And speaking of popular culture, we have an event happening on Sunday, which is the VMAs in Europe. And the reason I'm mentioning this is that they're going to have a virtual reality view. Now, of course, the VMAs in the U.S. had a virtual reality gimmick, but that was just the red carpet, which is, I think,
Right.
kind of boring. This will take you into the VMAs, and I think this much more so than like the various boring presentations, like even Oculus's presentation, which were offered in VR, or the Democratic debates, which are offered in VR. Those are kind of boring things. This might be actually really cool. You're probably going to be in the audience, be able to look around. And the way that you get this, Christina, is you download the VMA Europe app for iOS or Android, and you'll be able to watch it on Google Cardboard or one of the other Google Cardboard-like VR options. Again, iOS and Android. Are you going to do this, Christina? Are you going to check it out?
Can I watch the EMAs from the United States? If I can do it online, then yeah, I totally will. I think that it's at least something I'll try out. I have been on record as saying that some of these things are gimmicky. I watched the OnePlus 2 launch event in VR, which was kind of lame. I watched a little bit of the Democratic debate in the Gear Live, and it was or the Gear VR rather, and it was also kind of gimmicky. But this is interesting. What's interesting about this is that this is, for a number of years now, award show apps have allowed you to have kind of the multiple camera perspective, where while you're watching the show on TV, you can go behind the scenes and see cameras that are backstage or from the audience or from other perspectives, and kind of get, a more immersive experience. And that's all well and good, but it hasn't really been, I don't think, adopted that well by individuals. What's interesting about this, like you said, is this is obviously a little bit more exciting than even a red carpet scenario, which I actually think works okay for VR. I think that that's at least an interesting idea, where if you could actually be in the audience or backstage and turn to your right, turn to your left, and have that experience of seeing a different aspect of the show, or if you're near the stage, if you could see different perspectives, looking up, looking down, to see different tidbits you might not see beforehand. I do still fundamentally think this is gimmicky, but I also think that this is at least moving the technology forward. And I think that if we are going to start doing these kind of VR events, an award show, especially a music award show, where there are going to be lots of big acts and lots of big musical performances, and historically the EMAs, kind of like the regular VMAs, tends to have lots of kind of big spectacle performances, lots of lights flashing, and usually people doing various things, multiple stages. I think that if they're going to do that, that lends itself well to kind of experiencing more virtually. So we'll see. I'll definitely give it a shot. You said this is on Sunday?
Yes, it is Sunday. I don't know what time exactly. It's probably going to be very early for us. Because
Probably
it's
be
in
very
Europe.
well. It'll be very early for you, less
Yeah.
early for me, but still early.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, assuming that that I mean, I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot, sure. I mean, I think it's good that brands and companies are at least experimenting with this sort of technology. Again, I think it's a gimmick, but I do think that it's at least. I'm glad they're at least trying the gimmick.
Every new medium struggles at first to figure out what the medium is for and how it's
Right.
best used. And I think that in VR, I think what they're going to discover, I'm sure of it, in fact, is that doing VR for staged performances is super boring. And what
Right.
VR is best for is just real
The
life. So
unexpected. I agree.
what they need to do is have multiple people wearing VR 360 cameras on their heads or something like that, and go to the after parties, go backstage in the changing room, go to places where unpredictable things are going to happen, where there are people standing around ignoring the camera and just being themselves and taking you to a place where real people are doing real things authentically, and you're just a fly on the wall and you can look around and see it. I think that's the best use of VR for video.
I agree. I agree. I think for video, that's great too. I also think sporting events, which we haven't really, seen people experimenting with, but how cool would it be to be like, have a 3D camera like in someone's football helmet?
Yeah, exactly.
Like that would be amazing, because then you would get a perspective of the game and what it's like to be hit, to be on the ground. It might be a little nausea inducing, but I feel like that would be okay. I mean, but I'm with you. I mean, I think be a fly on the wall, be that experience. And we've already seen that happen. They've had the cameras at these events before and in these apps, but it hasn't really been in kind of this immersive way. You've had to kind of watch, in little postage size video clips in an app or something else. I think being able to actually have something on your headset where you feel like you can turn, or look around and see that experience that you can only see in that moment, and then you can only kind of capture in that way, could be really great. So I'm with you. I think that these unexpected moments, this real life stuff is really where this is going to take off. And I think we've actually already seen that even in some reporting. I've seen some really great war reporting that people have been doing using 360 cameras in VR. And when you really get the sense of what it's like on the ground in a scenario, it totally opens your mind to what's happening in a way that just watching straight video doesn't necessarily.
Absolutely. I agree completely. Well, let's jump into our regular news. Facebook yesterday rolled out a new search feature. For the first time ever, searches now show actual public posts. Martin Beck is a social media reporter for Marketing Land and joins us to talk about it. Welcome to the show, Martin.
Oh, thank you, Mike. Good morning. Hi, Christina.
Good morning.
Hi, Martin.
So glad you're here. Now, let's start out by saying that this isn't like Google+, this isn't like Twitter. This is a unique kind of search where you can't really search everything. And it's not entirely clear, I think, yet what you can and can't search. So what do we know so far, Martin, about what you can search and what you can't search?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, what they're saying that you can search is well, that when you search, it's calling in all 2 trillion posts that people have made, 2 trillion posts that people have made on Facebook over time. That's giant, obviously. 2 trillion is it's a number that well, I can't really comprehend. But anyway, so that's everyone's post is indexed. All posts are indexed, public, private. So I, as a user, when I make that search, I'm going to be able to see, or I'm going to be able to unearth all the posts that I have access to, meaning all the posts from friends and pages that I am connected with, plus all the public posts from people that I'm not connected with, or brands that I'm, or pages that I don't like. So it's basically opening up the rest of Facebook to there's the potential to see all that stuff, and that's a huge pile of stuff, to use the technical term.
And this is
Or some other word that starts with the letter S.
right.
Go ahead, Christina.
I was going to say, this is kind of a big shift for Facebook, right? Because I mean, they've kind of let you do this before, where they've opened up search in the past, especially on mobile, where you could see what your friends were saying and surface more past content. But this is kind of a big shift in terms of the fact that they're letting all public posts kind of be part of this, even though, as you said, how it's going to be displayed and how accurately, how much of this stuff you'll actually see might depend person to person. What do you think this says about, I guess, Facebook's broader search aspirations, the fact that they are finally kind of letting everything public they've been collecting for years, and I think especially this comes in not so much for historical data but for real-time events. Do you think this indicates that they're really trying to become more of a real-time destination in a way that Twitter and Google kind of dominate that sort of a conversation now, that they're really wanting to be a place where people can find up-to-date, up-to-the-second information about a topic or an event?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. I mean, I don't know inside the mind of Mark, but he has long said that Mark Zuckerberg, that is, that Facebook really wants to conquer search, and they've had a couple. They've concentrated on it for a while, and they've made some. They've rolled out some things that really haven't worked, like graph search, which was designed basically to find friends of friends who like tetherball or something like that, where you can sort of make connections around or sort of on the edges of content. This is definitely a play to kind of dive into content per se, and like you were saying, Christina, it's definitely seems to be an effort to go after what Twitter does with real-time news, with sort of conversation about events, and one of the parts that we really haven't seen yet about this new release is the organization of those events. It sounds like when you search for, say, Benghazi or the Benghazi hearing or something like that, you'll be able to see first posts by trusted news sources. You'll see posts about it by your friends. You'll see posts about it by strangers.
I disagree, Martin. I don't think that's the case. I've done a few tests myself. I searched for the word backpack just now while we were talking. And what I would expect to see is that because Facebook has probably 1.5 billion users, I'd expect to see lots of people that I'm not following and are not following me using the word backpack. But I got literally zero of those results. I got people I know, and I got lots of articles from National Geographic and lots from Pages and so on. So I think Facebook is saying that it's showing you everything, but it's clearly not. And I even got, while I'm sitting here, I scroll down, it's probably 15, 20 screens down, the results end. They have terabytes of data. I find it very hard to believe. So, of course, this is brand new information. This just hit yesterday, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of analyses coming out, and I may do one myself. But this is clearly different from, say, Google Plus or Google Search or even Twitter, where you go back and you see everything. And, of course, back in the filter bubble controversy a couple of years ago, when we were talking about filtering, everybody's writing about, the fact that, algorithmic results keep you in your own little bubble, right? I wrote this, started to write this column, and I was talking to Google about this, and Google said, no, we don't filter searches. We don't filter them out. We don't say this is the stuff you see and this is the stuff you don't see. We sort. We show you every single thing there is, but we rank it in order. Facebook always filters, and this looks to me like they're presenting this as a sorting of the results, but in fact it's yet another filtering of the results, where they're pushing you toward the content they want you to read stuff and read content and articles on Facebook, and the search results seem to clearly be pushing you in that direction. Is this different from what you're seeing, or what do you think about the likelihood that they're going to actually roll out and do what they've said they're going to do? Again, we don't know when they started indexing, so it's a big question. But what do you make of what I just said about the filtering versus sorting?
Well, I think it's too early to tell. I mean, I hate to fall back on that, but I'm not sure that how far that they've rolled out these new features. I don't think when I search, I'm not seeing it new yet. So it's possible that you and I aren't seeing anything different, because you know, their last search update allowed you to see public posts from some pages. I mean, you could see it in there, like, and news sources that were involved in events and things like that. So this, you know, what they've announced this week, I think, is just kind of, well, I don't think we're seeing it yet. I don't think we're seeing the results from it. I mean, and whether what they're saying they're releasing actually will come to pass it's an open question, because we all know that promises aren't always kept in this here. But I think and they may and they are. I mean, I don't know if when you search, to your point, Mike, that when you search Facebook, like say in a couple of weeks when they fully roll this out to everybody, if you'll see everything. I think that you know, that's what they're promising, but that would be I don't know. I mean, I think it's definitely an open question.
Yeah, it is, and we'll find out for sure. I'm sure that your publication and many others will really look into this and find out what you actually get. You can find Martin Beck by searching Facebook, and you can check him out on marketingland.com and on Twitter at Martin Beck. Martin, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, we got some more news coming right up. First, I want to talk about Prosper. I want you to do something with me right now. Go to prosper.com. Okay, Prosper, of course, is the peer-to-peer lending marketplace. They invented the category. They're one of those awesome startups that really succeeded by creating a new category of service. And when you go to the site, you see this really simple web page that basically has 3 boxes in it. One is the enter loan amount. So if you want to borrow money or you're thinking about borrowing money, throw an amount in there. State the purpose of your loan. There's a drop-down menu. You can choose from, you want to get a car loan or an RV loan or a boat loan. I know, Christina, you want to get a boat for driving around the Hudson River. You can get like medical or dental loans, vacation loans, household expense loans, green loans. You want to do a large purchase. You want to buy a Tesla. Whatever it is, you just choose the type of loan. Then you select your credit quality. If you don't know your score, you know, you can look it up or you can guess or whatever. But if you do know your score, just put in the range, you know, excellent, good, fair, etc., and then click on the green button. And without affecting your credit, it will tell you the rate that you're going to pay. And, you know, the rates are extremely good. They're almost certainly better than the rate you're paying for that credit card debt you may be carrying around. And that's one of the reasons people get Prosper.com loans, is because they want to pay off that high-rate credit cards and get a low-rate a loan to do that. And it's just free money, basically. They have low fixed rates, no teaser rates or hidden fees, no fines or fees for early payment. It's fast and easy to apply. It's completely effortless to pay the loan back each month. And of course, it's a great investment if you're interested in investing on the other side. This is peer-to-peer lending. It's a Silicon Valley way to monetize your small business, to remodel your kitchen, whatever it is you need the money for up to $35,000 in your account in as few as 5 days. Go to prosper.com/TNT. And I want you to go there even if you're not currently thinking about a loan. You got to get to know this company, because at some point you're going to want to raise some money, to borrow some money for something or another. And this is where you're going to do it. Just go to prosper.com/TNT and check it out today. Google today announced or provided new information about its various actions that help refugees who are fleeing the Middle East and streaming into Europe. For example, one project called the Crisis Info Hub provides hyperlocal real-time information about where to find lodging, transportation, medical facilities, and other resources. Super important to refugees who are just showing up, not speaking the language, in some foreign country with very few possessions. Almost all of them have a smartphone, which is why this whole system works. And Google also points out that they've seen the use of Arabic translations in Germany increase by 5 times just this year. and this is because of the refugee crisis. Google says its Arabic to German translations aren't good enough because translating between these two languages is unusually difficult for computers to do and for anyone to do. So they're asking for volunteers to improve the app. Here comes Google's video that shows exactly what they're asking for.
If you speak German or Arabic, we need your help. In 2015, Germany alone is expecting to receive more than 800,000 refugees. They often arrive with just the necessities, legal documentation, and a mobile phone. However, they rarely speak or read German. 9 years ago, we created Google Translate to help people understand each other in all kinds of situations.
Thank you very much for your help.
But some translations are challenging for computers, and German to Arabic is one of the most difficult, which is why we need your help. If you or someone you know speaks German or Arabic, you can visit the Google Translate community and improve translations that help refugees and aid workers communicate. We've set a goal of improving 2 million translations. So far, hundreds of thousands of people have helped out. To join the effort, visit g.co/helptranslate or share this with a friend.
How cool is that, Christina?
I love this.
Yeah.
I love this. This is, to me, one of the examples of one of the things that Google is uniquely positioned as a company to do, because they have so many people all over the world using their products and using them day in and day out, and they get so much data that they can actually substantively change the way that translations happen by actually being able to kind of pull power from the crowd and use algorithms plus that crowd power to make things better. And I think this is fantastic. I mean, we've seen this, kind of historically going back. Google has done this for a long time. A lot of their translation projects have been fueled not just by algorithms, but by, actual human volunteers. Their whole Google Maps, basically got its start with individuals helping map places. And that allowed us to map very detailed places that you wouldn't traditionally have mapping systems go. Mapping companies wouldn't go there and see kind of the local feel and whatnot. I think this is excellent, and I love that they're doing this. I think that this is kind of a really unique example of a very difficult challenge, Arabic to German. And it's not something that in a lot of cases people might think that you might need to do that sort of translation. But this is something that using both individuals, volunteers, and algorithms together, you can make a substantive difference and help people communicate in real time, which is what's so great about Google Translate. You can literally say something and see and hear, the translation in real time. It works remarkably well. And the fact that they're going to make things better, they're putting this call out, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it is. And I can't wait till somebody talks to some of the refugees using some of these resources, or specifically that resource, to communicate and to function and see what they think of it. But I'll bet you they love it because it's a lifesaver. All right, well, in product update news, Twitter is already monetizing its Moments feature. The first ad will appear this weekend, according to an exclusive on Bloomberg. They're calling them promoted moments, unfortunately, and the first one will be about the movie Creed. We'll see if promoted moments are deliberately mistakable for regular moments. Do you think Twitter's going to do the right thing and make them clearly differentiated from regular moments, or do you think they're going to do the wrong thing and make them and deliberately trick people into going into these promoted moments?
I mean, I think they'll probably, I hope they do what Instagram does, which is that they make it clear that it's sponsored, but it still fits the same aesthetic of the app, so you don't feel like you're looking at a traditional ad. So, I mean, I hope that's what they do, but who knows? I mean, obviously they want to build as much engagement as possible. But it's interesting because like something like, for a movie, do you put this in the entertainment section, which is what you would think you would do, or do you put it like in the top news section because you want everybody to see this? Like, how do you display that? I think that'll be the interesting question. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that they're going to do the right thing, or do you think they're going to follow the money?
I don't know. I fear that they're going to do the wrong thing and follow the money and kind of, they know that there's a huge number of people who just don't care. And then there's another group of people who kind of care, but it's not that important. And the number of us who really think it's a big deal when any sort of advertorial or native content is not separated out and made clear. We're a tiny minority, just insignificant minority, and they're fighting for their life out there. They're competing with the likes of Facebook, and Facebook has been completely weaselly about how they've done this sort of thing. I mean, just horrible about how they've done it, and they've succeeded in part because they've been that way. And so I think there's a good chance that they may do the wrong thing. However, I've been really impressed so far with Jack Dorsey. In the tiny number of days that he's been in charge of this company, he's been doing all kinds of amazing things. And so I think he might, he seems to have the right answer about a lot of different things.
He does. I was most impressed with, at Flight this week, him apologizing to developers.
Yeah.
That was a big move. And let's be very clear. It's not as if the developer problem happened in a bubble. Jack was still kind of head of product. He was still at Twitter when this happened. So he can't be absolved of all the problems that happened. But I do think that one of his first acts as chief executive at the developer conference actually actively say to developers, we're really sorry we've been kind of, bleeps to you guys for the past few years. We really need everybody to work together. That was a really big move. I agree. I think he's been making a lot of the right statements, doing the right things. And I think he knows that Moments is an important product to Twitter and that you can't do it wrong. And I think that honestly, I think that what I would be concerned about if I'm Twitter is not the small minority of people that care about the separation of advertorial and regular content, but the bigger group of people who aren't going to want to go to Moments if all they see are ads.
Yeah, absolutely true. And, so far I've been unimpressed by Twitter Moments, but we'll see if they can improve it over time. A little bit of breaking news. We told you yesterday that the taco emoji had arrived on iOS 9.1, and now Android Central is reporting that the taco emoji is coming to Android as well, but we don't know when. It's not really breaking news.
Well, I mean, that's very important. I mean, we need to have the taco, any word on the middle finger, because the middle finger is as important as the taco.
Yeah, I agree. And some people are giving the middle finger to the taco emoji that they're using. I referenced it yesterday. I think I confused a couple of people. There's a real taco, and then there's like the Taco Bell version with the crispy, like pre-shaped shell, and that's the one that the taco emoji is because it's more identifiable. But a lot of people were offended that they're
offended by that it's not a real taco. But there is like the burrito too. So there's the burrito, there's the hot dog. I'm excited about the hot dog.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm obviously most excited about the middle finger and the taco, and I'm okay with the Taco Bell taco being the one that's used because, look, when I think of tacos, if I'm being dead honest, like I think Taco Bell.
Yeah, and if you make a real taco, it just looks. It's a circle with some stuff on it. It doesn't look like you can't tell what it is. So that's the trick with emoji design.
It would like look like a weird fried egg or something. Like it'd be a weird thing.
It's just wrong. Anyway, now I'm craving tacos. All right, we got some more news coming right up. First, I want to talk about Gazelle. Of course, everybody knows Gazelle is the place to sell your used gadget, and it's very clear that you get more money on Gazelle than anywhere else when you sell a device. But it's also a really great place to buy a used gadget. And of course, they've been in this business for a lot less time, but they're really good at it already. You talk about going, people like to think about mid-range phones that have, really good prices in the $300 range. Well, that's the great thing about Gazelle. You can go to Gazelle and buy a high-end phone in the $300 range. For example, Galaxy S5, a Samsung Galaxy S5 phone. This is a great phone. Yes, there's a new version out there, but this is a way better phone than most of the mid-range or even high-end phones that you can get today. It's got a fantastic camera, super snappy performance, and Gazelle will sell it to you for $319 unlocked. I mean, if you have a budget, and everybody does have a budget, except Leo, who doesn't seem to have a budget, but everybody else has a budget, and you say, okay, this is how much money I'm going to spend. How much phone can I get for the money? Well, you can always get the most phone for the money on Gazelle. That's where you get the most phone for the money. If you're a little unsure about not buying a brand new shrink-wrap phone, which, by the way, is no guarantee of having a perfect phone anyway, you can get a brand new phone that doesn't function. But if you buy any phone from Gazelle, you have 30 days and you can return it, you get complete refund no matter what, and you probably won't because every single device is fully inspected by Gazelle, and that 30-day return policy is probably never going to work. But you have to know that it's there in case for what even if you change your mind, they don't care what your reason is. Just send it back. They'll give you a full refund. There's zero risk. Of course, all their phones are sold without carrier contracts. So if you want an unlocked phone, this is the great shopping site to go and just buy whatever phone you want with no contract, completely unlocked. And they have just such an incredible selection. They have iPads. They have the MacBook Air or the iPad Air and mini models. They have any sort of tablet. That's the thing about tablets. They never wear out. They keep working for a long, long time, and you can get a much better tablet for the same money on Gazelle. So you got to go to Gazelle. Give new life to used electronics. Trade in for cash or buy certified pre-owned. Visit Gazelle.com today. That's GAZELLE.com today. And you got to check this out. And by the way, Christina, the most delicious meat I've ever tasted was gazelle meat. I don't know if you've ever tried it, but it's just a delicious food stuff. Highly recommended.
I've had elk, but I've never had gazelle.
Yeah, elk is good. There's a burger joint in San Francisco called Rome Burger, ROAM, Rome Burger. I think there's 2 locations in San Francisco, and they have elk burgers and other types of burgers. Delicious. All right, well, got some big numbers for you today. $1 billion. That's how many dollars mixed reality startup Magic Leap is about to land in funding, according to an exclusive in the South Florida Business Journal. Magic Leap is based in Dania Beach, Florida. All right, another Magic Leap number, $4.5 billion. That's how many dollars Magic Leap is now worth because of this valuation. There's got to be of course, Christina, the term unicorn is referred to companies that are startups that haven't gone public yet that are worth $1 billion or more. There's got to be a new word for a $1 billion round of funding, $1 billion round of funding.
What do we call it? Do we call it a unicorn round? Do we call it I don't even know. I mean, that's insane. $1 billion round of funding. Well, good for them, Yeah. I mean, good for Magic Leap because they do some great stuff. And I definitely think that they're thinking about the future of interface and movement mixed reality stuff in a new way.
And they're ambitious. There are 3 things about Magic Leap that make me really take notice. One of them is that Google is a major funder of them. So Magic Leap appears to be Google's big VR play, for the high-end VR, augmented reality, mixed reality, whatever you want to call it. Secondly, everybody who sees the demo walks out stunned and says, oh, you can't believe this. This is just amazing stuff. And the third reason is you see super ambition all over their site. I went to their site, to their Contact Us site, and they had a little hint about what they're thinking about. They said, until Magic Leap exists, we still have to rely on email, so send us an email. There it is. Until there's Magic Leap, there's email. Magic Leap is actually hinting there that they intend to replace email. So they're seeing this augmented or virtual reality as an alternative to email, as a way to communicate with people. And I love that idea, and I can't wait to see what they come out with. And, of course, Microsoft's HoloLens and Magic Leap are probably still a couple, 3 years out in terms of consumer products. But when they do, I think those two are going to go head-to-head. We'll see how that goes.
So if we're trying to think, and I agree with you that is, we are probably going to see those things go head-to-head. But I'm trying to think of something, to kind of discuss this unicorn round thing. What are some other creatures that don't exist? Could we call this the mermaid round? I'm trying to think of mythical things.
Or another approach. I mean, I appreciate that, and that's one direction. Another direction is to combine unicorn with money. TNT at twit.tv, if you've got an idea about what you call a $1 billion round and $1 billion or higher, that's sort of the equivalent of a unicorn for valuation. It's a unicorn for funding. Let us know. TNT at twit.tv. You work on it, Christina. I'll work on it, and we'll crowdsource this thing, and we'll come up with a term, and we'll force it down everybody's throats on Twitter.
And we will spread it out on social media and be like, this is now the term. You have to call it this.
Yeah. And there's so many terms around unicorn. There's Unicorps, which is a company that dies before it goes public after achieving $1 billion.
Had $1 billion. Yes, we're hoping. Evernote is the one that's looking the most likely to be kind of that, but we're hoping not. But exactly.
We're hoping not.
Unicorps. There's decacorns, which is if you have the $10 billion or higher valuation.
And my favorite for the $50 billion valuation is Ubercorn, because they're the only ones who've ever done it. That's true.
And honestly, that's true. It's a great turn of phrase in both cases. It's it works on 2 levels. I love it. That's probably, I'm with you. That's my favorite. That's my favorite.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we got one more big number for you today. $197 million. That's the current value of the personally owned stock that Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey is giving to the Twitter employee equity pool. We're talking about him making great moves lately. This is one of them. Mm-hmm. The shares represent 1/3 of Dorsey's stock. This is the anti-Steve Jobs move here, Christina Warren.
Completely.
He's really showing the employees who weren't laid off that he's with them all the way.
Well, I don't know if I would say the anti-Steve Jobs move. I mean, I think that I guess so. I mean, but I feel like this is almost in fairness to Steve Jobs a little bit. I mean, when he came on, it was a slightly different competitive environment in terms of trying to retain employee talent. So when he came back to Apple in 97, I don't know if giving up stock equity would have, kept people there or brought people over the same way. The competition was a little bit different than it is now, because at this point, I mean, Twitter, in addition to, as you said, if they haven't laid people up, they want to keep people there. They've got a lot of really talented people, but there are a lot of companies out there. There are a lot of unicorns out there that are like saying, hey, we need engineers, we need designers, we need salespeople, we need, a business development people. So, I mean, I think you're dead on. I think this is a really smart move for him to do, because they don't want to have a talent drain, because this would be the worst time for them to have a talent drain when they're trying to kind of reorganize and recover and figure out exactly what they want to do. This would be the wrong time to lose even more talent. And they have a lot, and frankly, they've lost a lot of talent in the last year and a half. A lot of people, when their options, came in last summer, took the money and ran, to be completely frank. So, a lot of people left in 2014. A lot of people have left continuing this year. People were laid off. So I think it's smart, because you don't want to continue. You don't want to, let's put it this way. Twitter does not want to become Yahoo.
No, they do not. Nobody does. It's a good point. And so I'm optimistic for now, and I think they're going to do okay. I am too.
I'm optimistic. I think they're going to do okay. I just, but it's kind of scary. I mean, we talked about, unicorpses. I mean, Twitter went public. They had to kind of go public. I don't think they really wanted to, but they were forced because of what the SEC regulations were at the time. And, I think that both they and the market and frankly the press, we all were hoping that they would kind of follow more in line with what Facebook's managed to do. But Facebook is still the ultimate success story, and Twitter is still trying to kind of find its way. And in this sea of all these different apps and all these different companies, I think that they are kind of a good cautionary tale that even if you do everything correctly, it doesn't mean that the road is going to be easy.
Yeah, absolutely not easy. It's tough to compete against Facebook. Nobody has done it at scale successfully yet. We'll see if anybody can. Well, in news you can lose, Alphabet, the company formerly known as Google, announced earnings yesterday and killed it, etc. But they announced a stock repurchase plan widely reported as $5.1 billion. In reality, the exact amount for the buyback was $5,099,019,513.59. Why the weird number?
Such a Google move.
Yeah. The Wall Street Journal reporter Alistair Baer tweeted that the number is in fact the square root of 26, 26 being the number of letters in the alphabet, times a billion. When they stop doing this kind of stuff, Christina, I'm going to worry about them. But they still got it. They have
they still got it.
Cred.
They do this stuff. Yeah, no, they do. I mean, it makes me roll my eyes, but it also makes me love them. Like, I both love it and I roll my eyes. Like, I love it because it's awesome and it's nerdy, but it's also one of those things where I'm like, sometimes it bites them in the butt. Like, you remember when they made the bid for the Rockstar patents and they bid Pi, and the pad group was just like, we don't have time for your shenanigans. But this, I think this is pretty great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's awesome. I love this kind of thing. Well, you probably don't want to wear the same costume on Halloween as everybody else, and Google is here to help. The company launched today a version of its Zeitgeist site for Halloween costumes called, what else? The Frightgeist map.
I love it.
So let's check out this. So you get a map of the U.S., and you have these circles, and as you hover over different regions, you see the #1 costume, and when you click on it, you go in and see number 1, number 2, number 3 of what's trending in that area. So in Bakersfield, California, Batman is leading, followed by Halo, Ursula, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, okay, that's a little dated, and Star Wars. Yeah. So you go to another part of the country, and it's always different. And so Poison Ivy is leading in, I can't tell where Eureka, California.
I was going to say New York. New York is superhero, which seems a little non-specific.
Yeah.
What are you going to go for as Halloween, Mike?
I'm going to go as a middle-aged white guy who has a news show on the internet. So it's a figure.
Sounds
easy.
Good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So another feature of this, if we can go back to the map, is that that's the regional one. They also have a nationwide tab. If you go to the top there's a nationwide feature trending nationally. Harley Quinn is the leading
Harley
costume.
Quinn is everywhere. Yeah. Well, even in New York, superheroes #1, then Harley Quinn, then Batman, then Star Wars, then Wonder Woman. Okay, well, I can't be Wonder Woman then, clearly. I'm just gonna be Netflix. I'm just gonna be Netflix and chill then.
I don't understand why everybody isn't going to be the sexy pizza rat. Did you see that?
Yeah, I know. Because I think that was like one of those things. It burned so bright and then just
burned too bright. Well, speaking of burning
the
too,
rat got close to the cheese and okay, I'm stopping.
Yeah. So speaking of burning too, I have this horrible transition here. I'm trying to do. Speaking of burning too bright and dying too early, comedians Red Fox and Andy Kaufman are both dead, but that won't stop them from going on tour together as holograms. A company called Hologram USA today plans to announce the tour, according to an exclusive in the New York Times. What do you think about the hologram thing? Is this a dumb parlor trick that nobody cares about, Christina, or are people actually going to go and watch comedy routines by holograms?
I mean, this is a weird one because Red Fox and Andy Kaufman, like, look, I mean, because their comedy styles are a little bit different. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like I don't know, like Taxi and Sanford and Son are a little bit different to me. I mean, Andy Kaufman was just such an absurdist, and I mean, this honestly seems kind of like an Andy Kaufman prank, right? Like this seems like something Andy Kaufman would have done when he was alive. He'd be like, I'm going to go on tour with the dead comedian as a hologram. I don't know. I mean, it just makes me think of like, I don't know. I'm kind of always weirded out by these hologram dead celebrities, like the hologram Tupac and you know, I don't know. It reminds me of I don't know.
It is weird, and I actually think the Tupac one worked because everybody was surprised by it. Everybody in the audience was high as a kite, so it must have been completely
completely
weird.
No, it was at Coachella, right? And everybody was like, "Oh my God, it's Tupac! He's back!" We all knew he was still alive, because that's been a rumor that's been like in the community for like eons, is that he didn't really die, went underground, and Machiavelli is who he really is, and whatnot. But like, it's this is just. This is weird. I'm gonna say though, I would be intrigued to see what a comedy routine between Red Fox and Andy Kaufman would look like. I don't know. I'm not.
I mean, it sounds. The whole point of stand-up is it's a real person. You know, that's one of the.
That is the whole thing. I mean, well, you know what? You make a good point, because if all it is kind of a mashup of like their comedy albums or their comedy bits and like back and forth, then no. I mean, that's lame. It's what was the thing? American Idol did this like a billion years ago, where they had like Elvis and Celine Dion or something side by side. It was a really weird thing. I don't know. This just strikes me as one of those things where it's I mean, yeah.
Red Fox is going to do Here Comes the Big One routine, but the big one happened in 1991, Red Fox. So
I was going to say,
this doesn't work anymore.
Like, you know, I mean, look, exactly. Take me home. And it's like, you are, dude. Like, this is depressing. Plus, I mean, I don't know how many, like, what is the audience for this? Because again, I keep having to harp on this, but I feel like the audience is for like Red Fox. Yes, thank you for finding the Celine Dion and Elvis thing. Fantastic. I love it. My father was really excited by that moment, I have to say. My father's a big Elvis fan, and he was super excited by that moment.
Yeah, and it's not the bloated Elvis. It's the slim and trim, like Colonel Sanders looking Elvis.
It is. It's like Elvis. Like it is not the last 5 years of Elvis's life at all. It is like the Elvis that we would like to remember existed. But I can't understand, like, what's the cross section between people who are both Red Fox and Andy Kaufman fans?
Oh, what's the cross section between people who are like Red Fox, who know who Red Fox is, and who are into holograms? I mean, it's like
a very good to say. I was like, I think they still play Amen reruns on like BET and some of the other like TV Land and stuff. But like, and obviously we know Sanford and Son. But like, really, it's like Red Fox, really? Yeah.
So I have a prediction about the future of entertainment, of hologram entertainment. I think there's going to be a casino in Vegas that specializes in this. They're going to have this big special purpose stage, and people are going to come from all over the world and see dead celebrities perform. And I think that's a perfect use for it, and it'll become a cheesy Vegas thing.
I think Vegas, and you know what? I would a year or two ago I would have said Atlantic City, but frankly, that idea is too good for Atlantic City. Yeah. No one wants to be in Atlantic City, not even dead people.
Yep. Because okay, I'm not going to mention any Trump like material.
I know. I was just it was so easy. I mean, but yeah, that would be I'm with you. I think this would be a great Vegas thing. I mean, it'd be a good thing for one of the casinos, is like, especially like we just had the Celine Dion thing. It would even be good if like Britney I know she's at an area wherever she is, like if she gets sick and can't perform, it's like, let's just have hologram Britney. And then we could like choose, like we have like crazy Britney when she shaved her head and got like fat at the VMAs and was like drugged out? Or do we have like Britney like with the snake? Like you have, I mean, it could be kind of epic.
You could have all of them. All of her backup dancers could be each and every possible permutation of Britney Spears.
Oh my God, every VMA Britney. Oh my God! Like right now, Mike, like my mind is being blown. This should happen, and I really hope Lauren Hawkinson is watching online. I'm sure she's not, because Lauren Hawkinson, who's been on the show before and set for me as guest host, would be so down with the idea of hologram Britney's Through the Ages on stage in Vegas. That is totally a Hawk thing. So I'm going to tweet her about this as this is over and let her know that she has to watch the end of the show because,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, this has to happen. This has to be a real thing.
She should launch a company to make that happen. All right, just an idea. All right, well, our TNT fan of the day is Geeky Hamdi. I'm not sure Geeky is his actual first name, but Geeky Hamdi in Alexandria, Egypt, who posted this boomerang video on Twitter. He says he's a big fan of the awesome professional tech news today. How do you like boomerang, Christina Warren?
Okay, I was obsessed with it yesterday. I haven't really used it since I did 15 of them. I actually think it's a genius idea, though. I think it's really smart, and I think it's fun. I mean, I think it's super fun. A lot of people have been bagging on it. Oh, 1 second's too quick and that. And I'm like, look, I don't think that you will ever see anything as creative of what people are doing with Vine, because you can obviously do so much more in 7 seconds. But I feel like we're going to see so many people do so many interesting artistic things with it that it's going to be awesome.
Absolutely. It's a replacement for, and I've been looking for such a replacement for still photos with some motion. And they've solved the problem of the seamlessness factor by going forward, then back, then forward, then back. And there's no point at which the subject suddenly jumps to the other side of the screen or some weird thing. So they've solved that, and they speed it up, which makes it comic, and it's super short. So it's like, it genuinely replaces a photo.
It's easy to do. I mean, it's like your own reaction GIF maker, which I think is the best thing ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
so I'm hoping that they will, that eventually what'll happen is you'll be able to turn a live photo into a boomerang. Wouldn't that be cool?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And, somebody's going to master this medium and treat it seriously as a medium. And it might be me, but we'll see if I can find the time. But yeah, I just think it's great. I think this is really going to take off. And I love the fact that you don't have to log in, and they have other things about it that are super sort of like they streamline you, getting you right into it, make it super easy and convenient. That's the way to do it. All right, well, show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a boomerang or take a picture of yourself or your setup. Post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook, and use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT so we can find it. Christina Warren, what's next for you? Who are you going to interview next?
I don't know, but next week is so crazy. There's so many different product launches, so many different services launching, so much stuff is happening. Yeah. So, I mean, really, we are now in the thick of tech bonanza season. It is crazy. From now, basically through CES, it's just going to be nonstop.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I look forward to all the stuff you write. Christina Warren is film_girl on Twitter. And you got to follow Christina Warren, film_girl. Christina, thank you for conquering today. We'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye, Mike.
Bye-bye. Let us know what's on your mind. Send email to tnt@twit.tv or call 260-TNT-SHOW. That's 260-868-7469. You can subscribe to Tech News Today on Spotify, believe it or not. And you can choose your favorite way to subscribe at twit.tv/TNT. If you're ever in the greater Petaluma region, come on into the House of Brick and watch us as part of our studio audience. Just send email to tickets@twit.tv before you come in. You can follow us on Twitter at Tech News Today TV, and you can follow me on Twitter at Mike Elgin. That's MikeElgan. Also, don't miss our other new show, Tech News Tonight, at 4 p.m. Pacific every single weeknight. And that is the Tech News Today. This show was produced by Jason Cleanthus and edited by Kevin King. My name is Mike Elgin. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you Monday.